everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Empower and Include the Road to the Valuable 500 podcast, where we're going to delve deep into the world of disability in the workplace, and we're going to look at how we've partnered with Valuable 500. I'm Lana Roy. I am Head of Disability for Africa Tikkun, and with me today, I've got guest Mark Lubner, who's the Executive Deputy Chairman of Africa Tikkun. I've got Nolutando, who's the Project Lead for Disability. And I've got Katie Telekoska. You can tell me, Katie, if I'm saying your name right. And
Perfect. Perfect.
And
Thank you.
Katie is the CEO of the Valuable 500. Today, we are very excited to announce our new partnership between Valuable 500 and Africa Tikkun, two organizations who are dedicated to making a significant impact in their respective fields. This collaboration aims to drive disability inclusion and youth empowerment in South Africa and the African continent. By combining Valuable 500's global network of over 500 companies committed to ending disability inclusion with Africa Tikkun's extensive experience in tackling youth unemployment and providing a holistic support from cradle to career, we believe we can create transformative change. Together, we will work towards building a more inclusive workplaces and empowering young people with disabilities to achieve their full potential. The goal of this podcast today is to create a space where we can discuss the challenges, the triumphs and the strategies that drive meaningful change and foster true inclusive workplaces. So whether you're an employer looking to enhance your company's diversity efforts, an employee seeking support and understanding, or simply someone just passionate about creating equitable environments, this podcast is for you. Together, we're going to uncover barriers, celebrate the successes, and share valuable lessons learned along the way. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to be inspired as we embark on this important transformation journey. And once again, welcome to Power and Include, where we believe every voice matters and every individual has the power to make a difference. So on that note, let us get to our important guest that we have today. Mark, as Executive Deputy Chairman of Africa Tikkun, what has inspired Africa Tikkun to actually prioritize disability inclusion in your initiatives?
I think, Lana, first of all, welcome to everybody. Katie, love to see you, love to be with everybody today. And just to express how just excited we are about this partnering opportunity. You know, if we don't collaborate, get together, we're not going to really move anywhere. We're all going to do our own individual things. And that's why a partnership like this is so important. Africa Tikkun decided to get into the field of disability inclusion, where we realized that as a child and youth development agency, we were looking at individuals with disabilities almost through a special lens. And rather than necessarily recognizing that they were part and parcel of everyday life and warranted the same opportunities. And that in truth, if we applied ourselves just a little bit extra, we could not only provide benefits for those individuals living with disabilities, but equally, the research has shown that by involving individuals with disabilities into our youth development programs for able-bodied youth grow up far more conscious, better citizens at the end of the day. One of the experiences that we were having was that Africa Tikkun's role, cradle to career, means that we actually get involved in job placements and training programs within the corporate environment. And we found that although we were placing disabled individuals into those jobs or those learnerships, many of them were quitting halfway through. And they quit because psychologically, they had been so isolated, so ostracized early on in life, that when they came into this environment, socially they couldn't necessarily fit in. So the penny dropped. If we could start delving into the experiences these youngsters had in the early stages of development, if we could redress that and make these individuals feel that they were included, welcomed, in fact celebrated, because many of them had competencies that able-bodied individuals don't have, then when they reached maturity and went into the job market, they would psychologically be able to necessarily fit in. A quick personal divergence, if I may. My brother and my brother's wife, gave birth to a child who was terribly handicapped. She could not sit, she couldn't stand, and she could barely communicate vocally. But she could communicate in a variety of other ways. And what I experienced through the years that when Sabrina was alive was that children around her invariably acted better in her company than they did when she was not necessarily there. My brother used to literally clear the table, put her in the middle of the table, and she would engage in her manner, and children would engage with her. And she became an inspiration to other kids of differing ages who saw a youngster who was trying to do the best she possibly could. And that inspired them to be, as I say, more conscious, more sensitive, but equally to perform better within themselves. And so this mindset of inclusion is one that we firmly believe, if implemented appropriately, brings benefits for all.
Amazing. Absolutely. Katie, as CEO of Valuable 500, in short, can you tell us about the origins of the Valuable 500 and what actually inspired its creation?
Of course, thank you. And first of all, I would like to start by saying hello to everyone and thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity and wonderful partnership. So the Valuable 500 was launched at Davos through the World Economic Forum in 2019. So we've been going now for about 4.5 years. And the Valuable 500, or hashtag Valuable, as it was known then, was the brainchild and the inspiration of our founder, Caroline Casey, who is registered legally blind. And if you cast your mind back to sort of 2019, very rightly, the corporate world was leaning into diversity, inclusion, and equity, and assigning specific budgets, putting special initiatives in place, etc. And whilst very rightly that role encompassed race, sexual orientation, gender, the reality was no one was talking about disability within those corporate boardrooms. And if we think about, 16%, that's 1.2 billion of the global population live with a disability. And if you extend that to friends and family, you're genuinely looking at about 70% of the global population. And consider, if you will, that disability as a group, as a community, is something that any of us can join at any time through age, through diagnosis, through illness, through accident. So it is just plain wrong for any of us to think about the disability community as other or separate. It is a human-first approach, and it is all of us, because that is just the reality of our situation. So Caroline was a woman on a mission to change that. And I think very rightly, and this still remains the ethos of the Valuable 500, the reality is that business, large corporations, are in the driving seat of change. CEOs in a boardroom, through a decision, can change something overnight. That they can literally, with one decision in one board meeting, do what it can take other policymakers and charitable organisations and governments to do in a really long period of time. And I do think that where business goes, society follows. So the inception was effectively a call to action and a rally cry to global corporations to end the CEO silence on disability inclusion. And I suppose simple to say, but very serious, the ask was to CEOs, please commit to putting disability inclusion on your diversity and inclusion agenda. So that was really the origin and the inception. And if I may, following Mark's suit with a bit of a personal story, I was working in advertising and marketing at the time. And I was working on Mars Really Confectionery, and we had done some work that was inclusive of people with disabilities for the first time for one of our brand campaigns. And this was a response to Channel 4, one of our broadcasters in the UK, being the broadcaster for the Paralympics. And they were running a competition for a brand for the first time authentically representing people with disabilities in their communications. So we had entered, in my advertising role, we'd entered this competition. We'd be lucky enough to win. And it was through that I met Caroline when I was in the advertising world. And then we created a pro bono campaign to help launch the Valuable 500. And as I said, it went from #valuable to Valuable 500 because 500 pertains to the very ambitious, but happily for us, not impossible. It seemed impossible at the time. 500 CEOs. That's what Caroline wanted. And as I talked to you